Keeping romance and love alive in a relationship requires time and hard work from both of you. But babies, mortgages, life, work, family commitments and man flu can hamper things.
So, why not break out the latex and greet hubby with a whip? Perhaps make like a barnyard hound and corral him into the bedroom. Dating expert Katia Loisel-Furey has tried all of the above and survived to tell out how it reignites the flame.
Have I? Well,
Whips
I don't
and
know
latex
about the
always
whip,
work.
but anyway.
Well, you know. You never know.
How
do you know?
Yeah, what are the major problems or relationship problems that break down a relationship like that?
You know, one of the big things, and the big difference between love and lust, is with love we get that feeling of security, and we can really take that for granted. And the reality is, if you don't look after your relationship, if you sort of leave it to care for itself like I do with my garden, you know, you're going to turn around and it's going to be dead. And that's one of the big things, is that, you know, when you first go out with each other, your relationship is your #1 priority. It's all about you, it's all about the sex, it's all about everything. And then, you know, a few years, sometimes a few months, a few years down the track, you know, work comes first, kids come first, family, taking out the trash, you know. And so what does that leave? It leaves you with, you know, you're like flatmates. You're not really having a relationship.
How often does the problem in the relationship or the lust being removed from the relationship occur to both partners at the same time? Because I'm thinking, if it doesn't occur to one and the other starts pestering, it's going to create problems on its own.
Yeah, you know, and it often, I mean, sometimes it happens to one quicker than it does to the other, but usually after a few years, you know, all those adrenaline hormones, you know, they wane off. They don't last more than a few months, let's face it. But, you know, sometimes you might have one partner who's, you know, for example, if you've just had a baby, or if you've got kids, and you spend your, you know, your days in your tracksuit pants or in your PJs, that can do a lot to sort of, you know, hinder your self-confidence. You start to feel your self-esteem goes down the drain, and so you can really start feeling bad about the relationship.
Well, it's hard to feel sexy. I remember the first 15 months of having my children, they vomited. You know, it's hard to feel sexy when you're covered in baby vomit all the time.
Exactly. Or you spent, you know, I have to admit, after I had my son, I spent a good 2 months living in my PJs. Worse still,
only
PJs.
2 months?
Well,
I think I spent the first year and a half.
Yeah, not just the PJs, but then the big jumper, you know, Greg's jumper over the top with his woolen socks. And, you know, that's not a sexy look. And I felt like a big fat blimp. You know, I didn't feel sexy. I wasn't in the mood, you know.
Well, how did you change that?
Yeah.
Did you shorten the jumper, did you?
Hello, you know. You know, the thing is, you have to take, you know, it's really easy to get caught in that rut and you start to feel comfortable, but you have to pamper yourself and you have to take a little bit of, you know, you've got to put it on yourself to make yourself feel good first. So get out of the PJs, get out of the daggy tracksuit pants, no matter how comfortable they are, and actually pamper yourself. Feel good, you know. A lot of the guys said, which was really interesting, that their wives, you know, after kids, spent a lot of time looking like crap, basically. And that was fine, but when they went out with a night for the girls, they would get all dolled up and dressed up and make such a huge effort. And they'd be like, well, what about me? You know, why doesn't she make an effort with me? And guys, well, a lot of guys didn't bother.
What do women say about that?
Well, you know, women probably, a lot of the women that we spoke to actually didn't think about it that way. You know, so my advice is...
They don't bother to dress up for their husbands?
Well, you know, you can just get into that comfort. So when you're home and you've got the kids running around or whatever, or you've just come home from work, you can get a bit tired, you get complacent. You know, so you just, you know, you're in your couch, you're in your comfy pyjamas. So one thing that we said to the women is, you know, and the guys, make an effort. Ask your partner in a flirty sort of way, because, you know, when you've been together a long time, we don't flirt anymore. We don't, you know, when you're together at the beginning, you make the eye contact, you know, you give them the eye. And, you know, you hold their hand or you give them a pash, whatever it is. And
pashing.
Pashing.
That's one thing. Isn't pashing's the best thing, but all of a sudden you get married and people stop pashing?
Exactly.
Why do they do that?
And, you know, the women and the men, the women in particular said...
You know the ones,
yes.
David, you know, the big open-mouth ones.
And you know, the fantastic thing about a great open-mouth pash, it releases testosterone, actually puts you in the mood for sex. So guys should know this, because then they might want to kiss their wives a bit more often, because a lot of the girls said one of the things that went out the window was the kissing and the touching. And, you know, guys, researchers found, are twice as likely to actually have sex without kissing. So, you know, they're more likely not to kiss at all. So, you know, girls, I always say this, you know, just look at your partner, wear something a bit suggestive. You you know, ask him what he'd like you to wear, and I say, do you know that
Would say
you know, a
nothing.
passionate kiss puts you in the mood?
If after 22 years my wife suddenly started flirting with me, I'd think something was really wrong.
Yes, and that's one of the big things, is you have to make your partner part of the process, because if all of a sudden you start going out and buying all this lingerie, or guys, you know, you start being really, you know, how about it, then they might think that you're having an affair or you're looking somewhere else. So it's all about
that's
communication.
so sad.
It is, but, you know, communicate. And that, you know, a lot of the couples we spoke to, especially women, said that, you know, they were feeling so crap, and they were feeling so disconnected from their life, their relationship, from their bodies. They thought, what am I now, you know? That they kind of expected their partner to understand how they were feeling and hoped they knew how to fix it. But if you don't tell them what's wrong with you, and don't play the blame game, whatever you do, how can you expect them to fix it? So you have to communicate.
But, you know, I remember after having children, and it's hard to kind of know how you're feeling about anything at that point, isn't it? It is. You just feel
you
sort of
say that, you know?
lost in a sea of nappies and vomit.
Absolutely, you vomit. Yeah, walk down the street and you think you're looking fantastic, and then you look over your shoulder and you think, oh my God, I'm covered in it. Can you believe it? You know?
Well, short of the latex uniform and you know, playing the barnyard hound.